Hello! This is about take 5,000 on me having a normal started video where I don't awkwardly laugh at the camera, so thanks for being here for it. Okay, here we go. That's my kitten eating paper. Appa no. My name is Kate Smith, for those of you who do not know me. If you follow my Instagram, it is the Arthritic Yogi. It is also what I would very much like my YouTube channel to be. I have not figured out how to change my name on it yet, because as those of you who know me will know, I am technologically challenged presently, working on it. I'm actually using my cell phone for lighting support right now, which still isn't great. I see all the shadows. But, you know, work that you got, make it happen. Progress, not perfection, because if you're obsessed over the perfection, you just never start. And that's what's kept me from doing this sooner. So, starting where we are and working onward. Anywho, why this? Why this channel? Well, to understand that reasoning, you might need to know my story. And I think my story is quite a compelling one. If you don't, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 7. I just had it in my knee. I was treated for a year. I started having allergic reactions to the medication I was on. They took me off. I was all hunky-dory. Yay. Happily ever after for about 13 years. Until I had a reaction to a vaccination. And I know that people have all sorts of opinions on vaccinations, and I'm not even going to get into what vaccine it was and how I feel about that quite yet. It's just quite simply what happened. I reacted to a vaccine. I had a burning fever, head to toe. My eldest sister, who was my swim coach at the time, let me sleep in my sleeping bag for 3 days straight at an away swim meet where I didn't even compete because I just couldn't even lift myself off the floor. I ended up having to have surgery on my knee because the inflammation was so bad, and I had a lot of scar tissue, my synovium, which is the cushioning in your joint. If you've ever been diving or snorkeling, it looks a lot like sand coral. And so you can't really drain it. It's like sticking a needle in a sponge. So anyway, so I had surgery, I scraped some of that out. They took out a little piece of cartilage that was stuck in my joint. And the second I got out of surgery, I had a pinch in my elbows. And you can actually see to this day, my elbows do not straighten quite all the way. They're getting there. I'm working on it. They're a lot better than they've been in the past. So yeah, started there. I've had problems with my hands, my wrists, my ankles. I have some lumpy toe joints. My knees were a big problem, so I, at the age of about 19, ended up with rheumatoid arthritis, burning head to toe. The rheumatologist that I saw at the time put me on a biologic drug, and so I was giving myself a shot in the leg with this drug. It happened to be Humira. There's a lot out there, but that's just what I was put on. And that worked for a year and a half, I think, until, if anyone else has been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, you might know that a lot of the drugs that they put you on are immune suppressing. What that means is that your immune system is constantly suppressed, or oppressed, really, from doing what it's meant to do. So, I'm in college. I'm trying to get through classes and things like that. I'm involved in other things in school. I work. I end up with mono. Surprise! And so you have to go off the Humira to take care of the mono because you need your immune system working. I got better after 5 months. I had mono for 5 months, which is absolutely absurd. All better, hunky-dory. Shocking. Doesn't make sense, but shocking. It makes sense, but that's a for another video. My arthritis was stunned into remission. Not my rheumatologist, but my family doctor at the time told me that sometimes autoimmune diseases can get shocked into remission by viral infections, like mono. Okay. So skip forward a couple months. I start getting back into surfing. I'm going rock climbing with my husband. And I start having these symptoms again. There was no, like, trigger as there had been in the past. No vaccine, surgery, infection, anything. Just started getting physically active. And ta-da! I felt like the Tin Man. Only, let's be real, anyone that has had or has any form of arthritis, it's like worse than being the Tin Man, because you feel like your tendons and ligaments and soft tissues and muscles don't even fit in your body when you have it severely enough. Your body's just on fire head to toe. And that's basically what happened to me. So I went back on the Humira, didn't work, so they doubled the dose. So instead of stabbing myself in the leg once a week, I was stabbing myself in the leg, once every other week I was stabbing myself in the leg every week. Surprising, it still didn't work. Add on some prednisone. Oh, that only made you feel great for 2 weeks? Let's up your dosage. Oh, you feel like shit again? Let's up your dosage. What? Meanwhile, I'm through all of this, trying to hold down a job. I got married. I started going to a functional endocrinologist who was the starting point of my journey back to wellness. Far, far, far from endgame goal, which I would say I'm getting there now, but there is no end game in life, right? It's a daily practice of wellness, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I saw a functional endocrinologist, and she helped me kind of wean off of the prednisone. I had at that point stopped taking the Humira because I simply refused. I had been getting injections of different medications in my joints too, and basically every medication I was given took me from bad to worse to shitty to just threw me down the toilet through the city septic. Like, that is just the only way I can describe it. It got to the point where I could not hold down a job. I had probably like 7 or 8 jobs in about 2.5 years. Which is pretty demoralizing. I was super depressed, because we don't live to be a blob that's dependent on others, and that's how I felt. I was fully dependent on my husband for everything. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll come right back to that. I'm sorry. It's my first video, my linear thought. We're working on it. Anyway, I went to a functional endocrinologist. This was about 3 months before I got married, I want to say. So a little over 5 years ago. And she put me on a really strict paleo-style diet. If you don't know what paleo is, it's a lot of meat. I had been a vegetarian for 4 years prior to that. I will say that I was a bad vegetarian. It was basically my excuse to live on cheese and processed goods. So, not really healthy. So what it did do right for me was it got me eating fresher foods, ironically, because meat's a dead item, right? But other than the meat, I was making my own food. Like, I was cutting up my sweet potatoes. I was baking my butternut squash. I was cutting my apples. Um, things like that. So I went from like 210 pounds down to like 135, which for some people that might be like, oh my gosh, how desirable. But I'm 5'10". I should never be 135 pounds. Ever. So, I felt amazing for those first 3 months that I was on this diet. And then I felt worse. Worse than I had ever felt. So this is where we jump back to being completely dependent on my hubster. I was either calling out of work all the time or just not even working. And basically, I wouldn't be able to fall asleep at night until like 5 a.m. because it hurt to exist. It just hurt to exist. I couldn't even be in my body, trying to live in my body without being high. I was stoned all the time. I don't get high ever anymore. I don't need it. But at that point in my life, it was like the only thing that brought me any solace because at that point my nutrition wasn't working. Medicine wasn't working. Acupuncture gave me relief. I was going to an acupuncturist weekly, but at $90 a pop, that gets expensive like immediately. So that wasn't a great long-term solution. And on top of that, my husband was not happy at work. He'd been doing the same job for about 6 years, and we didn't know what we wanted from life other than that I wanted to be active again. I wanted to feel like a capable human again. He really, really loves surfing. I like to surf. He loves to surf. And we recognized a need for maybe a climate change. And so, we, like any person would do, gave away all of our belongings, sold a bunch of our belongings, and moved from Pennsylvania to the big island of Hawaii. Hawaii is an adventure in and of itself, and maybe a topic for another video. But what Hawaii did teach me is where my food genuinely comes from. Because I had firsthand knowledge of traditional Western monoculture with chemicals and soil deprivation, as well as permaculture, and not just organic techniques, but affordable and truly from the earth organic techniques. And also that, potatoes come out of the ground, apples grow on trees, things like that. If you have never been to anywhere tropical in the Pacific, do it at some point in your life, because I have this vivid memory of, it was like the first week or two we were there, and I saw a poster of fruit of Hawaii, or fruit of the Big Island, and there were like 100 different fruits on this poster. 100 different fruits on this poster. And I had maybe ever heard of like banana, let alone that there are dozens of species of bananas. And I looked at this poster like, if I don't know about all this fruit, what else don't I know? Which again is also a topic for another video. Because aside from my health journey, my physical health journey, I of course went through this emotional, mental, spiritual, holistic journey, right? It all comes together, but I'm trying to stay focused on one thing. So it taught me the importance of fresh food. Now, my darling spouse, Andrew, can attest to the fact that even when I cooked meat, I would not touch it. I would literally like cut the packaging and like throw it in the pan and be like, it's sufficiently dead. Okay, I think this is potable, edible, whatever. Um, I just kind of like lied to myself that I liked it because I thought that it was what I was supposed to be doing for my body. But so I discovered all this fruit. We lived near cows that I would talk to and give sweet emotional love to, and then they would go off for slaughter every month, and then new cows would come back, and then I'd be really sad. So we stopped eating meat again. And this time, I started to feel better. There'd actually been a few times where I projectile vomited meat as well. I don't know if has anyone ever actually like gotten food poisoning just from eating meat? Not that like something dirty was in the meat, but just like the meat itself made you really like projectile vomited. I don't know. Maybe you don't need to hear that, but it's what happened. Anyway, so we stopped eating meat again. I started feeling a lot better. We started eating a shit ton of fruit. We hadn't given dairy up at this point because I'll be real with you, I like was almost involuntarily anorexic. And we found out that my mom, we found out when we left for Hawaii that my mom was really sick at the time. So we ended up moving back to Pennsylvania a little less than a year after going, so that we could be home with my mommy. And when we came home, we ate a lot of dairy just to put some calories back on. But the second my tummy was like, girl, you can't do this no more, I was like, okay, tummy, you're totally right. Let's cut this out. And it has been uphill and uphill and uphill from there for me physically. I have friends that have been like, oh man, I hit 30 and like, my life's over. And I'm like, yo, I hit 30 and life's just getting started. So at this point, my husband and I are mostly raw vegans. And although I didn't necessarily originally stop eating animals because of the cruelty aspect, it has now plays a part in it for me because I do love animals and I wouldn't eat my cats or my dogs, and I do think it's weird. We can get into that another time. So, yeah, that's basically, I just want to share what has brought me back to wellness, me back to life, because I want to save someone else all the trouble that I went through. I want to save someone else the heartache and pain and depression and deep, dark thoughts that I had, because no one should have to live that way. And if you disagree with everything I say, that's okay. But I know I'm not the only one. And I know that my lifestyle, similar lifestyles to my lifestyle, have helped thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people at this point. So if I can spread the good word of wellness, I would like to do that. In case you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's because I have notes. Since I'm kind of scatterbrained, writing things helps me now. Writing down things helps me think. Anywho, so that's why this. My journey is my why. So that someone may have a more pleasant journey. And believing in myself is what brought me to sitting down in front of my computer right now. I will take a picture and post on Instagram my setup right now. It's very, very funny. I'm literally on my bed, like I said, with my phone as lighting, my computer sitting up on a Zappo, so I'm just making it work with what I got. Progress, not perfection. So as I have changed my nutrition, gotten into yoga, which has increasingly changed my life, I always come back to the question of what is wellness to you? So if you would like to share, please leave. I've always wanted to do this. I see other people do it. Go in the comments below. Tell me what wellness means to you, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Is there anything that in particular or specifically that you would like me to talk about? Like, subscribe. I'm going to link this to my Instagram. And let's Make the world sunshine sparkles where everybody is happy and feels wonderful about themselves. Because we all should. There is a 1 in 4 trillion chance that you exist in this universe, and you do, which means that you're awesome and you should feel awesome. So that's my first video. I was trying to keep it under 20 minutes. I didn't think that I could talk that long, but I'm actually at 20 and just about 15 now, so I'm going to stop myself. There's a long list of things to come, many videos. I'm going to aim for once a week, maybe more. I love you all. I will leave all of my, social media things down there. And have a blessed week. Mwah!